Hello, everybody, and welcome back in. We're here in the ninth as our Red Legs are down 6-1. It's good to see everybody. Very excited to be back with Corey, my brother here. You got the Phillips Bros here tonight on this Friday night, on a steamy night in the metropolis. Corey T, how you been?
Not bad, man. Glad to see your smiling face on the other side of this broadcast. It's definitely been, 3 weeks at least since we've done a show. So
Something
glad to be back in the saddle with you. Just wish tonight would have been a little bit more exciting. We could end on a positive note, but we'll see what we can pull off here in the ninth. Maybe we can pull one out of our butt here.
Yeah, that'd be all right. Love to take one from these guys.
Ain't that the truth? They talked about it on the broadcast. I'm not sure this could have been a worse start to the series.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. It's just you needed a little bit of momentum after, kind of dropping that one against the Twins. But still, and I heard Trace talk about it on the show yesterday, there's still fight in these guys. You go down and then Espinal and Trevino put a run together, and you still have some good at-bats and things like that. There was a little bit of fight in there. It wasn't there for a minute. I thought it was going to be our typical 1-0 night, but there were some good at-bats through the lineup there, and it's been a tough night for the bats. I mean, rolling over on everything. I think their starter had 10 ground balls and induced. It's been tough. It's not a fun watch when these guys aren't playing long ball.
Absolutely. Quick too. My God, just efficient work. I felt like we were going to be on here in an hour.
Yeah. It was definitely moving right along until we had to make 3 pitching changes in an inning.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? Yeah, we definitely made the Pallante kid look a lot better than he needed to be.
Yeah, and he's always thrown well against us. It's just one of those things that I don't know what it is that some of these guys just get our numbers, and it's tough. You can't right the ship. I saw somebody write it in the chat a little bit ago. It's the game plan coming into tonight was awful. Whatever pitch it was that we were looking for, whatever we were hoping we were able to do, there were some good at bats. Like Will Benson ran a couple of counts full. I think Tyler Stevenson ran a count full. Trevino had a good at bat after the Benson full count, and so we put some pitches on him to maybe chase him an inning early, but we weren't able to do anything with it, and so it just created this situation where I don't know what we have to do in order to get the walks that this guy's issued to everybody else, but it's not there.
Yeah, I mean, there's part of me that wants to just tip your cap to the pitcher on a certain night. You know what I mean? It's sometimes,
but it's the Cardinals, so the hell with that.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So we getting a pitching change here in a 6-1 game as they've already gassed their bullpen. So in terms of bullpen usage, they were coming in actually, I think, worse than we were. They used their entire bullpen yesterday too. We had 3 guys throw 30 pitches. They had 2. So getting into their bullpen was, something that kind of provides well for the end of the series. But us having to go with 3 guys there in the 7th isn't what the doctor ordered. You do have Connor Phillips that makes the appearance there in the bottom of the 8th that hopefully saves you an inning. Hopefully, it's going to be one of those things. I wonder if Connor doesn't leave the team tomorrow to make the place for Chase Petty to make that start tomorrow. But even on the pregame broadcast, they're talking about Chase Petty making that start in place of Wade Miley, but it feels like they left the door open for it to be one of those situations where Chase is there if you need him, but he's not going to be the starter if they wanted to turn to an opener for tomorrow.
Right.
But that would be 2 days after Suter threw, I think, 34 pitches. So I don't know. I'm not 100% positive that's the route you want to go. I know Suter threw 35 yesterday, but it's just you've got to let somebody go. So it's trying to figure out what your bullpen arms look like.
No doubt. We got Riley O'Brien coming in here trying to close the door. Come on, Tyler Stevenson. We got Stevenson at the plate. 6-1, trying to get something going. We got 1 out already, and it's a 1-0 count. Come on, Ty Steve. Get something going here.
Yeah. $39-43 incoming. Goodness, Sylvan. Damn, sky's falling, man. We're like a game and a half out of a wild card spot. Still got to ride the high waves. Won 4 series in a row. If you drop 1, 4 out of 5 ain't bad.
Since we ended the streak in Detroit, we can drop this first one. Still keep some optimism for the next 2, hopefully.
That's right.
Finally brought that crap to an end.
And we'll be on here with you guys again tomorrow night. And so if we get that chance to, come out and at least celebrate the we've not been swept streak. You better believe we're partying hard tomorrow night if we win that ball game. It may only even up the series, but it keeps one of the most impressive stats in baseball. Only team not to be swept.
Right on. Kind of an awkward moment there. Too. I don't know if he tripped coming through his delivery, but he
kicked his foot.
Went to make a pitch and didn't bring it through. Tyler Stevenson on first via the balk.
Yeah. That Gavin Lux hit in the second inning, by the way, was definitely, or in the third inning was definitely a hit. Or was it? I can't remember what inning it was in. They called it an error. Dude hit a piss missile at the dude at second base, and it leaked into the outfield.
How are you going to put that on that kid? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a hit.
Man.
Yeah, Lux tattoos that ball, and it sneaks into right field. After that dude kind of gets a glove on it, they called it an error. But
they called it a strike. He got dinner reservations.
Oh, yeah. He rung Ellie up on an inside pitch. It wasn't strike three either. There is good food in St. Louis, just not the pizza. If anybody's from St. Louis and you're in the chat, if you've ever had Emo's Pizza, it's freaking Triscuit crackers and plastic cheese. It's awful. That's the worst shit going. I swear, that stuff is so bad. They love it too, dude. They think it's like a delicacy. I think Jason Tatum's from there, the guy from the Celtics. He talked about it on like his draft night. Like that was his draft party catering was Emo's Pizza. Jesus, what do you want everybody to throw up? Like
can't get behind it, huh?
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's so bad. Like it lived a few spots around the country. St. Louis's food's good. Like the Hill has a bunch of like really authentic Italian places, and there's some really good barbecue down there too. But yeah, and he brings him up on a ball outside of the zone again. Jeez, oh Peters, that's awful.
He is late for dinner.
Yeah. Feels like we got out scouted tonight. You're not wrong there. You're not. That ball's outside the zone. Damn. Rung in the wrong bullpen pitchers. I could see that, John. I could 100% understand that. It's weird with not having Graham Ashcraft. You don't realize how big of a footprint he leaves, but the energy and things like that he brings versus what Scott Barlow can do, you just kind of moved him up a spot, and it's not turned into anything good. When Singer gives you 6, if you can go to the 3 horses, that's it. Jeez, Al. This guy's just dotting the outside corner and getting it every time. I
mean, why wouldn't you stay there if you're going to give it to you?
Man. So, we're going to once this does happen, it'll be minute 30, and Cory and I'll be back on the other side. We'll get a box score recap, get everything taken care of. Load up that chat. We'd love to hear from you. In a game where the offense goes inept, there's a couple of places we can pick. We don't want to be super down in the dumps, but at the same time, you'll get a little bit of realism because this team, even though it was riding high coming in with 4 series wins in a row, you got to face reality and understand that there's some dudes in here that aren't performing. And I'm one of the first ones to call out 44 when he's not carrying the weight. He's not carried the weight for a couple series now. We can't have an Elliott series again. Getting on base and then getting backpicked isn't the way that you lead this team.
Like the stream, like for strikes, likes for wins tomorrow. I guess we should just push it on tomorrow now. But please like the stream. Help us out, man. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe.
Yeah. I was a little surprised. I mean, we'll get into it in the show. I was a little surprised with the move for Connor Phillips today. I wonder if that was because he's had starter stuff in the past. And there's strike 3.
And there it goes.
All right. The Evil Empire strikes tonight. They beat us 6-1. We'll catch you guys here on the other side of a 1.5-minute break. Thank you so much. Like the stream. We'll see you in a few.
High drive, left center field, racing back to the line, Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did! He did! Reds win! Line to the right field. The first run ever with 4 home runs. Measured gloves, throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed the no-hitter. Oh, are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win. What a dream to get into the career of Jay Bruce.
Welcome back into another episode of Chatterbox Reds. I'm joined by my brother Eric Phillips, alongside me, Cory T. Phillips. Eric, it was a rough night at the ballpark tonight, man. It was 6-1 loss to the St. Louis Cardinals. The evil empire seemed to get the best of us tonight, and it was not a pleasant one to watch, man. What are your overall thoughts on what was a titanic struggle tonight?
It's depressing to see the offense resort back to what it's been. You get those 4 and 5 runs a game and you kind of get used to it, and you always feel like you got a puncher's chance. But after the starter gets 10 ground balls induced, it's just one of those things that you don't realize that, somebody can put us away like that. This isn't a top tier pitcher. This is a guy that comes in at, I believe, 4-3 on the year with an ERA close to 4, very similar to what Brady Singer's numbers have looked like for the year. And he just looks like he's an ace. We make him look like we used to make Verlander, and all the way back to the other Astro days when it was like Roy Oswalt and stuff. It's just one of those guys that has our number, and it sucks to see to show up and kind of be out of it before it starts. But all those ground balls, not getting a hit until the third inning, never really mounting anything offensively. The difference in the past couple of weeks in these previous 4 series has been the pressure on the base paths, whether it be by the walk, by the hit, putting the ball in play, just constantly making these guys throw out of the stretch. And it just didn't feel like there was any sense of that this evening. And so, yeah, sad to see the offense revert back. Hopefully it's a one-night slip up. Maybe, had a rough flight coming in or whatever it might be. Maybe it's the different kind of heat, but whatever it is, it's, first day of summer, first day of, but not the first day of terrible offense from our Redlegs on the 2025 campaign.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We've definitely seen this one before. We spoiled another good start by starting pitching. Usually Brady Singer's our guy that gets the run supports, and he just wasn't getting it tonight. Another quality start, giving up 1 run over 6 innings and just couldn't get it done. As far as the offensive game plan, I'm not sure if there is much of an offensive game plan is when the guy's coming out just pumping strikes like that and working efficient. I mean, we made him look a lot better than what he needed to, but the guy come out and threw strikes, and sometimes you just got to tip your cap, and sometimes you just get a better pitching performance than what you get offensively with your Redlegs, and just seemed to run into it again tonight. And it was tough to watch, but I'm really hoping we can spring forward tomorrow and get rolling in this Cardinal series, because it's a big one. I mean, it was a bad way to start off what is a division rival series. So hopefully we can get off on the right foot tomorrow. But got a little box score recap, man, if there is much of one to talk about tonight.
Yeah, so the Reds and Cards tonight, first pitch 7:15 from Busch Stadium in St. Louis, Missouri. Brady Singer versus Andre Pallante, right-handed pitcher Andre Pallante. Nothing really happening until we get to the bottom of the third inning when Victor Scott was hit by a pitch. He then stole second. Ellie actually made a great play with a runner on second base. He's playing in a shifted position behind second base. Ball's hit to him hard enough. He's able to make a quick turn and flip the ball to third base to get the tag out on Scott, taking care of the lead runner. But then Wynn doubles, and that leaves runners on second and third when it should have been 1 or 2-0 at that point. But then a Burleson sac fly makes it 1-0 Cardinals in the bottom of the third. In the top of the fourth, a Gavin Lux single. Ellie hits into a fielder's choice as our runner on first base, then gets back picked. And so momentum runs out of the fourth inning by another base running blunder. Ellie getting back picked by the catcher with an absolute rocket of an arm there. But then in the bottom of the fourth, Lars Nootbaar leads off with a double. He tags up to third base, and then they gave us the momentum back by getting themselves out of an inning. They've got a runner over there, and they try to bunt with 2 strikes and 2 outs, and the ball goes foul, and that ends up being the third out of the inning. So a blunder on our end, a blunder on their end. It's a 1-0 ball game. You feel like you're still in it. Then we get to the top of the fifth. We go 3 up, 3 down. In the bottom of the fifth, Brady Singer takes care of business, and he actually ends up going 6 strong innings. Brady Singer's final line was 6 innings, 1 earned run, 101 pitches, 4 hits, 1 base on balls, and 7 strikeouts. Brady had a lot of things moving tonight. The 2-seam fastball that he's able to bring back in, it looks like it's in the left-handers before it breaks back out over the plate. I feel like he used that effectively a lot on the inside half tonight. But yeah, really, really good outing for Brady Singer. But that takes us to the bottom of the seventh, where the scoring picks up again when Scott Barlow came in to start the seventh. He went just one third of an inning. He walked a guy and then also left the game with a hit by pitch. So runners on first and second. Taylor Rogers, our $6 million left-handed specialist, the guy that is on this roster to get left-handed batters out in a spot where 3 of the next 4 guys in the Cardinals lineup are up. He walks a left-handed batter to load the bases. Then a base hit by Austin Wynns makes it 2-0 Cardinals. Then left-handed batter Nolan Gorman walks with the bases loaded, making it 3-0 Cardinals. And that's when they called in Tony Santillan. Remember, new Major League Baseball rules of 2 years ago, you have to actually see 3 batters. And so they couldn't pull Taylor Rogers, even though he couldn't try and find the strike zone to save his life. And so Tony Santillan comes in, gets the perfect ground ball, tailor-made right to Gavin Lux. He makes almost the identical play that Christian Encarnacion Strand booted the other day, where his feet get shuffling a little too hard. He spikes it in the dirt. A better play by Spencer Steer probably picks this ball, and we're not even talking about it, but the ball gets away from Spencer Steer at first, long enough to make it 5-0 Cardinals as 2 runs score on the air by Lux. A Lars Nootbaar single then makes it 6-0 Cardinals. The wind's out of the sails. It feels like we're heading for doom. And at 6-0 in the top of the 8th, we do get off the mat just a touch when Santiago Espinal leads off the inning with a single. Jose Trevino doubles, making it 6-1 Cardinals. A Matt McLean walk, but then a TJ Friedel fielder's choice. We did have runners on first and third, and this is a topic I want to get into later. We've got runners on first and third with 2 outs. We're 1 swing of the bat from having a 2-run game in the 8th inning, and a left-handed pitcher's on the mound for the St. Louis Cardinals, and we send Gavin Lux up to the plate. Gavin Lux, our third baseman that just booted a ball an inning ago, and is facing left-handed pitching where we know he doesn't benefit well, and you have Christian Encarnacion Strand, the one guy on that bench that can change this game with the swing of a bat. Is it a lottery ticket? Absolutely. But play the damn lottery, man. You can't just sit back and let this thing go. Gavin Lux takes the at-bat, grounds out, and a threat ended. Game basically over there. In the bottom of the 8th, we do see the reemergence of Connor Phillips, who's had a comeback story. That's been a lot of fun to follow this year as he's come back and is now our bullpen arm. But he was called up today as Wade Miley went on the 15-day DL. But good to see Connor Phillips come in, was able to hold them without a run. And then the Reds go quiet in the 9th, and that's your ball game. Final score 6-1 St. Louis Cardinals. Andre Pallante takes the win. And Brady Singer takes a rough loss after a quality start, only giving up 1 earned run. So that's your box score recap.
That was fantastic, man. I really felt like I was at the game, to be honest with you. That was a good one. But you were exactly right. Another spoiled start from Brady Singer. The offense just didn't have any push to it whatsoever. Another sad night. I'm supposed to try to find a DSC deep drive of the day, and it was hard to come by today, so I actually went down to Louisville to find our DSC deep drive of the day. Your Louisville Bats. I didn't catch the final score. They were up 4-1 the last time I looked. But to put them up 4-1, Reese Hines hit a solo home run, 408 feet, 102.4 miles an hour off the bat with a 30-degree launch angle, giving the Louisville River Bats the lead, extending the Louisville River Bats lead there. So your DSC deep drive of the day belongs to Reese Hines on his 408-foot blast for the River Bats. Reese Hines has actually been on a tear right now, man, and it's fun to watch it. It's fun to watch him be on a streak and kind of have that in our back pocket when we're going to need that power in the corner outfield too. But our deep drive of the day is sponsored by Deep South Commodities. DSC is a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. And thanks always to our friends at DSC. Not a good day for the deep drive of the day. It was few and far between. I'm not even sure what we get, maybe 4 or 5 balls to the outfield, it seemed like, especially off the starting pitcher. But 10 ground ball outs, another 4 strikeouts. That guy was just working efficiently and left our DSC sorely lacking for today.
Yeah, and then with Reese Hines, it's one of those things that you talk about, like, he's been raking in AAA, and that's awesome. But if you're going to bring him up and you do the same thing that you did to Christian Encarnacion Strand tonight with Gavin Lux going up to the plate, what the hell's the point in bringing him up here? Hell, let him sit down there and at least maybe he can collect some value by taking at bats every day. If you're not going to use the bench players in the roles that they're supposed to play in, why the hell are they here? You pinch hit Connor Joe an inning prior, or actually it might have been earlier that inning. You brought Connor Joe off the bench. Instead, you have letting Christian Encarnacion Strand have a swing of the bat. Has CES been lighting the world on fire? No. Has Gavin Lux hit left-handed pitching well? Hell no. So it's one of those things that if you got the pieces and you want to play the cards, like at least, we're not dealt great cards. Bluff it. Do something. Figure it out. Like be a card player, Tito. It drives us nuts when he does these things again and again and again. I don't know. You can't question a guy. He's got this team in a winning, they're a winning ball team right now. We're in a playoff race, here in the middle of June, and we'll take that. But it's frustrating to sit back and watch these things happen, and re-signs not coming up is just as frustrating on the front office end.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Re-signs absolutely been smashing. His numbers in June have been absolutely crazy. 373 in June. He's got 22 hits. He's got over 1,000 OPS. So it is nice to have his bat going, and I want him to get regular at bats and see some regular playing time. So I don't want him sitting on the bench getting the Connor Joe's 5 at bats like I saw in the chat. I do want the guy playing every day, but it is it's only a matter of time till we try to get some of that power back into our lineup.
Yeah, and I think that's what this thing needs. We need another injection. You don't want to take this thing on a tailspin. We've not been swept all year, and so that's great. But now it's trying to stay on the aggressive. You've won 4 series in a row. If you drop this one, is it the end of the world? No. But you've got the Yankees coming to town on Monday. Like it's not exactly bright skies ahead, and there's a lot of left-handed pitching on its way. So you're looking at a situation where Austin Hayes needs to get back here as soon as possible. Reese Hines needs to be up here. Jamer Candelario needs to be up here. That's 3 right-handed bats that I would take 10 times out of 10 over both Garrett Hampson and Connor Joe. So if one of those guys isn't up, or all 3 of those guys aren't up by the time those left-handed pitching onslaughts come in, that's when it's a true mismanagement. I'm not sure if we're even actually making an attempt or if we want to be sellers at the deadline. That's like you're just not trying at some point. You have the ability. You have a little bit of a sign of life. You've been absolutely trucked by left-handed pitching all season long, and you're just punting these games away. You're going to see Connor Joe and Garrett Hampson in the corner outfield spots for a series. No way, man. No way. Like that's the end of the line. Like that's where it stops for me.
Absolutely. Well, just another decision I had kind of scratching my head about is bringing Santi on there when he did in, what was it, the 7th, I think it was. I thought we might see Connor Phillips just to save Santion's arm. How he was talking about it in the pregame show yesterday about how he didn't want to overuse Santion, and then brings him in a situation where the cause almost looked lost. I understand you wanted to keep it within, the 3-run deficit right there, but just seemed like not a very big spot to use at one of our bigger arms when we had a couple more arms that were available. You could have thrown Leon Richardson. You even had Pagan there on the back end if something does go wrong with Connor Phillips. Yeah. And so just keep trying to, give him the complete day off rather than bring him in that situation. I was kind of scratching my head about that one too, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and the Tony Santion move to the league leader in appearances coming into today adds another one to it. Emilio Pagan gets now a 2nd day off in a row. If that's the most important out in the ball game, throw Emilio Pagan out there. Now, is it Tony Santion's fault that he induces a ground ball and Gavin Lux spikes it? And somebody said it was far enough away from Spencer Steer that it didn't matter. I didn't really catch the replay of it. I was trying to get myself settled in down here. But in doing so, it looked like a ball that maybe could have been picked, but if it's further away from him, I'm not going to, rail Spencer. I love his defense at first base, but that's a ball Gavin Lux. That's a play that's got to be made. You're out of that inning, and you're still within striking distance. And who knows what that Espinal-Trevino leadoff of the next inning actually leads to if you're still fighting for your life and we're not having to take 6-run home run swings.
Right. That's where the holes in our roster become completely evident. When Gavin Lux can play third base and he's a solid infielder, don't get me wrong, but with him bouncing around everywhere, you could even see it on the play. If he just takes his time and sets his feet and makes a throw, instead he tried to do a lean to the left off the left foot. I can't understand. For the life of me, I can't understand it. And I can't remember who exactly it was going down the line. He didn't have the most fleet of foot. Take your time, step, make the throw. Your everyday third baseman makes that play and has that knowledge in the back of his head and is not going to get worked up and try to make a play that's too quick. Whereas Gavin Lux, kudos to him, still trying to make the play. He knocked it down, but set your feet, make the throw. And that's where we're missing an everyday third baseman like Noel V. Marte, or even CES. He hasn't looked the greatest, don't get me wrong, but he's had a decent glove over there. I'm not replacing CES for Gavin Lux, that sort of thing, don't get me wrong. But not having an everyday third baseman definitely rears its ugly head in situations like that.
And we're starting to get into a tangled web we weave situation with Tito. his excuses one day aren't lining up with the excuses from another. Now, we can't see the post-game comments from tonight yet, and hopefully we get a chance to add those in and have it for you guys on the podcast version. But we're not more than a month removed from a situation where Santiago Espinal takes an at-bat late in the game, and the reason why he didn't want to pinch hit was because he didn't want to have to play Gavin Lux at third base. And tonight you've got him playing third base in a situation where all that goes down. Then he doesn't want to pinch hit for Gavin Lux with Christian Encarnacion-Strand sitting on the bench. It makes no sense to me. It's all one way or all another. I'm so David Bell trained over the last 4 or 5 years that a computer could have done his job, and I really think it did. I think there's just an analytics guy going, Dave, this is the percentage play. Like, go ahead and make it work. He didn't use his gut for anything. And Tito using his gut, you know what? It's gotten us to where we are, so you can't get mad at it. I'm still on the Tito train, but the excuses for why we don't and why we do and the feel for things, it almost feels like somebody falls asleep at the wheel every once in a while, if you're catching my drift. I don't know what he has to do in order to feel good about putting Christian Encarnacion-Strand up there, but there's something there that tells me it's deeper than just he thought Gavin Lux had a good shot. Like there's something, it almost feels anti-CES more so than pro Gavin Lux, if that makes sense. Like I'm not sure what it is, because he's made a couple of different moves now to where we didn't pinch hit for guys because he didn't want to be left in a spot. But then tonight he has the same thing, exactly the opposite, where he could have pulled Gavin Lux from third base. Santiago Espinal could have gone into third base, I believe, because he was in the lineup still. It's frustrating. It's confusing. It's frustrating. It's a 6-1 loss to the worst team in the freaking league. God, I hate the Cardinals, man. I really do. Like, everybody talks about the Cubs, and I hate the way that blue comes into Great American Ballpark. I really do. But freaking Neck Tats and Brandon Phillips going at it, man, it's still that's the Johnny Cueto kicking Jason LaRue's career right off of his shoulders was awesome. And I still love that fight and hate that freaking team down there with a passion. So, but yeah, it's a tough loss. You're staring Sonny Gray in the face tomorrow. So, not a lot to get excited for, but you know what? You come out and put some runs on the board in the first inning tomorrow, and I'm right back in. So, so we for our topics tonight, we had the Springer. Springer was spoiled. We got into the offense. We weren't big fans of that. And then Taylor Rogers, if you want to get into him just a little bit, you pay a guy $6 million to come in a spot where he's got 3 out of the 4 left-handed batters coming up in the Cardinals order. He doesn't even get out of the inning. You have to use Scott Barlow, Taylor Rogers, and Tony Santillan just to get out of the 7th. And it's a recipe for disaster, and it's 6-0, and the game's over by the time they leave. That's not on anybody but Taylor Rogers. Scott Barlow leaves the game after a walk. He leaves a guy 2 Rogers, but you've got to be able to make your outs there, man. That's the only reason you're here. The only reason you're here. You're one of the least used guys out of our bullpen in terms of appearances that's been with the team all year. And now I'm starting to wonder, like, is there a shoulder impingement is usually the issue that sends folks on these phantom IL stints. There needs to be one of those at some point in time here soon, because Brent Suter gives you a better chance than Taylor Rogers does against left-handers at this point. Hell, Sam Mole, I know he struggled at AAA. So give me something else, because it's not working. You're just going to continue to run that guy out there, or worse, not run a left-handed pitcher out there because you're afraid of what the results are going to be. You don't have a left-handed specialist. And I know with the 3-out rule and when guys have to come in versus starting an inning and things like that, the left-handed specialist has kind of lost its luster over the last couple of years. You still have to have something, so that a lineup like the Cardinals tonight, where I think it was 7 out of the 9 hitters hit from the left side, you've got to have a counter to that at some point late in the game. And for me, a guy like Tito, who thinks about these things before the game even starts, and the way he sets his lineups and builds his lineups, and why left-handed openers have been so efficient against this, the lack of a left-handed reliever out there in the bullpen has to absolutely drive him bananas. And if we're not on the market for one, it again brings into question, how much do we really care?
Yep, and that's exactly it. When they were talking trade deadline and what this team needs, and there are offensive holes that we need to fill, but I feel like a left-handed pitcher out of the bullpen is one of the things we need to go after if we're going to try to solidify this bullpen for any sort of sustainable run for the back half after the All-Star break. Obviously, Taylor Rogers just isn't getting it done. We haven't been able to rely on Sam Mole. Brent Suter's splits look the same, righty-lefty, and Brent Suter will absolutely give you anything that you could possibly want. Speaking to which, shout out to Optimistic John in the chat here for giving us the heads up. Suter was just announced as the starter for tomorrow. So we're going to go left-handed opener again for Chase Petty and kind of see where that leads, because we thought we were going to see Chase Petty the last time Suter started, and he went MIA after that. So kind of see where it goes. But I kind of like Brent Suter setting the tone. He seems to be the tone setter coming out of that bullpen. So let's get it started with the lefty and see where it goes from there. And hopefully he can set the tone for a good Chase Petty outing. I was going to say Chase Burns, and I caught myself.
Yeah, and with Suter, you get energy. If we're going to go down, we're going down quick because that boy comes to the plate in a hurry. I was in the ballpark the other day when he made his appearance against Minnesota, and it was like, my God, you take a drink of your beer, and it's, he's got 3 pitches thrown, or he's walked a guy, or he's given up a hit, or whatever it is. But the energy and passion that guy plays with, I'm super excited to see him get that chance to open again tomorrow. I don't know if it's a vote in confidence in Brent Suter or a vote in the negative direction against Chase Petty. I think it's one of those situations that if it is a bullpen game and it's close, I don't know that we see Chase. I really don't. I don't know that you set him up to come up here to sit there and do all those things. He's there to, if things don't go well with Brent Suter and we need 7 innings of relief, hey, Chase Petty, guess what, man? Until your arm falls off, this is your game. We might get beat 25-0 tomorrow, but guess what, Chase Petty? You're gonna ride this for us, and we're gonna get a day off for the rest of our bullpen if it gets out of hand.
Yeah, absolutely. I was looking at some of the starts he had made before. He hasn't thrown in like 6 or 7 days, so Chase Petty is ready to roll if we do need him. If we don't, I'm okay with that too. To be honest with you, we're probably in a good situation than not, but it'll be interesting to see. I kind of like the starting pitching. I like the whole pitching chaos philosophy that we faced against the Tigers, and that it adds a wrinkle. It makes the manager control his lineup in a completely different manner, and I just kind of like the chaos that it creates. So let's parlay that into a win tomorrow, and we'll do it again on Sunday and get out of here with another series win on riding that 4 in a row streak. I'd love to make it 5 before we get out of here.
Well, and one of the 2 starts that Chase Petty made was against this Cardinals team, and they lit him up pretty good. And so if you've got to figure out a situation for this kid that you give him the best foot forward, maybe it's facing a bunch of right-handed bats. Knowing that there's a murderer's row from the left-handed side that they kind of ran out there tonight that Singer was able to work through. If that's what you have to do, is get these guys to flip around and get Nolan Arenado and a couple of different guys back in the lineup so that Chase Petty could then go, be righty on righty for the most part. Anything that you've got to do to boost that kid up to give him a shot, because he's 0-2 after 2 terrible starts, and he's facing a team that he knows has already tagged him once. So, kid, if you've got it, you got to dig down deep and find your gumption, because tomorrow we need you. We need that little bit of a shot in the arm, and maybe it comes from the pitching staff. It's come from the bats. Benson's carried us for a series. CES has carried us for a series. TJ Friedel's carried us for a series. Ellie's carried us for a series. It can come from anywhere. And if you get something good out of Chase Petty tomorrow, that's a jump starter going into Sunday, and that kind of reignites his winning train that, you can keep things going. When you talk about it taking all 26, even though Tito won't freaking play him in the spots that we think he should, he is very good at making this thing feel like a team effort and the way that everybody's rallying around. And so, if they can set Chase Petty up to be a winner tomorrow, I'll be really excited for him. Yeah,
I will as well. So he's just going to have to take advantage of some of the aggressiveness of some of the Cardinals hitters too. I was looking at some of their chase percentage numbers, and every single person in their lineup has an over 20% chase rate as far as balls out of the zone and that sort of stuff. So if we can take advantage of that aggression somehow, I know sometimes he gets a little emotional, gets the walk bug going. Consistently wild, inconsistently wild, however you want to look at that. You just get some balls in the zone, take advantage of some of their aggressiveness, and I feel like it could set up decently for Chase Petty. Obviously, the past did me no services as far as being able to prove that he can get it done. But I think he's got the capability. And if Suter comes out and sets the tone and gets everything going, he can kind of ride off that emotion and go from there. So let's set him up to make the best start we possibly can.
Yeah, and like I said, and John, I see Chase is not starting. Just told you guys. No, we understand that, John. What we're saying is if Chase is the second guy out of the pen, like if Brent Suter is what you have to do to kind of set this table for Chase Petty, that's what you do, because the kid's been rocked by this team before. His confidence is shaken. We've seen the emotions in him. What do we have to do in order to give him the best opportunity to be successful? Give him a bunch of right-handed bats, because they've lined it up that way in order to face Brent Suter to start the game. So, keep those lefties off of his back and try to make sure that he has this chance to, be successful when it comes that time. So, yeah, I'm not super optimistic about it, like John says, but I think we probably see another bullpen game tomorrow. But, and taking a look at the bullpen usage, I mean, we're in a situation where I mean, you've called in just about everybody. You've called everybody but 988. But you've got Brent Suter throws 35 yesterday, Luis May 34, Ian Jabot 31, Lyon Richardson 31. Santillan did not throw yesterday, did throw tonight, didn't throw many because he ended up getting out of that inning, I think, in like 6 pitches. So he's definitely good to go tomorrow. Taylor Rogers threw a bunch tonight. Emilio Pagan hasn't thrown in 3 days. Scott Barlow threw tonight and threw a decent amount of pitches. But Graham's gone. Connor Phillips, I don't know if they make another move and maybe we see Zach Maxwell up here tomorrow. If they're looking to, kind of keep a bullpen that's healthy enough to have 4 or 5 guys. But if it's going to be a bullpen game, you're going to need somebody else up here, I would imagine. And Connor Phillips might be on his way out after a pretty decent outing this evening.
Yeah, honestly, I thought he looked pretty decent. I mean, he's had pretty good numbers coming out of AAA. The conversion to the bullpen has seemed to help him out pretty well. In the month of June, he's got a 1.59 ERA from AAA. So I think the addition of Connor Phillips will help. But like you say, we are going to need another long arm. The glaring hole that is Graham Ashcraft is rearing its ugly head really, really fast.
Yeah,
really fast.
And Graham wasn't at his best right before he hit the IL. Don't get me wrong. But still, just having the ability of the top side of what Graham Ashcraft can give you, which is very dominant pitching. You don't have that in Scott Barlow. Scott Barlow is not the dominant 7th inning setup guy that Graham Ashcraft can be on a good day. Graham Ashcraft can also be what Scott Barlow was tonight and walking a couple of guys and not taking care of business the way he needs to and getting himself out of the 7th. But Graham could be that guy that, he has that ability. He's shown that he can. And it's kind of a 50-50 shot as to which Graham you get that night. Him being gone, there's a lack of gumption and enthusiasm that comes out of that pen until you get to Santillan and Pagan on the back end. So it's just one of those things that Tito looks down there and he has nowhere else to turn. And speaking of nowhere else to turn, we also want to remind you that you can call or text 988 anytime, day or night. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is a place to get support for anything related to mental health, whether it's an immediate crisis, simply wanting to find out how to connect with care, or anything in between. It's a 100% confidential, secure, and anonymous way to reach out for help when you don't have anywhere else to turn. To connect, call or text 988 or mantherapy.org to get help. And everybody's got to remember it's okay not to be okay. And it's okay for our Reds not to be okay on Friday night as long as they're okay on Saturday and Sunday. So hopefully we can get back on this horse tomorrow. The bats have to come alive. We can't take this for the series. And Ellie's back down into one of these slumps, man. He disappears for a week at a time, it seems like. And when he's hot, he's really hot. And he was back into that all-star race and one of those, get him into the game, get him going. And ever since that kind of stuff started, right back down he comes, and he's come back down to earth. I think he's won for the last 4 games. He does have a base hit tonight, but again, he gets on base via fielder's choice and gets back picked. He gets on base tonight and then gets wiped out via a double play. So I don't know, man. Like I look for somebody to be a leader, and I look to the guy that gets a lot of the shine and gets a lot of the jerseys in the stadium and things like that. And I look for him to carry us first, and when he doesn't, it seems glaringly obvious on a night when you only score 1 run and the offense just never gets going and gives Brady Singer a chance.
Yeah, I've got to play devil's advocate on that one, man. We wouldn't be where we are without Ellie. I mean, he's hitting over 1,100 month of June. I mean, the guy's going to absolutely carry the squad. He's got to show up. Don't get me wrong. We go as Ellie De La Cruz goes, but then you've got to have guys around him that are going to pick him up too. You know what I mean? When we're not getting any production, the 2 hole, out of the 4 hole, out of the 5 hole, it's hard to get Ellie any protection. So I'm not going to sit here and harp on him like he is the problem. Is it a problem? Absolutely. Do we need more production out of our shortstop and our superstar? Absolutely. But I can't come down on him too hard yet, man. I'm going to give him a couple more days to try to get this right, because without him, we don't have a chance. I mean, this isn't a ball club that's even got a shot at the postseason. So I'm going to keep my faith in 44. I'm going to keep my faith in this ball club, man. We're trying to get it going here, trying to get it right. It's hard to be optimistic on nights like tonight, but you've got to keep the optimism rolling. If we don't, what other choice do we have? Optimism and pessimism cost exactly the same. I'll take the optimistic route. So.
No, that's a good way to look at it, and I am too. Like I said, this team still 2 games above 500. We're in the middle of June, first day of summer. Everything's rolling in the right direction. Felt halfway decent coming in today. That last Twins game, we were due for a bad start from the starting rotation, and then you get the news on Wade Miley, and I would imagine that made the clubhouse kind of awkward today as well. And maybe it's just emotions and things like that. We're running a little heavy. You basically just watched a guy that's come in and that you fought for the last couple of weeks have his career ended. Wade Miley's done. He's probably never pitching again. They talked about it with heavy hearts and stuff like that in the broadcast booth. And then Jim Day was all over the story, and they stuck a mic in the poor guy's face, and he's like, "Man, emotions are heavy. I need to go home and recollect." Like, I feel bad for Wade. The Tyler Skaggs thing, I'm sure, is hanging over his head as well. And so there's a lot of noise around that. And so when something like that happens, and you have a guy that's 38 years old, a league vet, coming back up for 12-month Tommy John rehab, and he goes out, and it's probably out for good, to see the end of the line show up and the Grim Reaper come for somebody can't be easy to take for a lot of those young guys. That's not something you see a lot and you see every day. So I can understand if emotions are low and morale's not high, but you know what? Tomorrow's another baseball game, and you still got a hell of a lot more to play. So get your head out of your butts, quit feeling sorry for yourselves, and let's roll.
Hey, while we're talking about that, if this is the last couple of times we do see Wade Miley, I want to tip my cap to old Wade Miley. I just happened to be in the ballpark for his last 2 starts. Won us the Ohio Cup in Cleveland. Right. Yeah, he won us the Ohio Cup in Cleveland. I was there for that one, and he brought the streak to an end on Sunday in Detroit, and I was there for that one. So if it is, man, kudos to you, Wade Miley. We really appreciate your efforts, man. And he's been a solid, consummate professional for years. Despite all the crap that he's going through right now, I do at least want to tip my cap. We got 2 big starts, two good. I shouldn't say great starts, but 2 solid starts, and exactly what we needed out of the guy. So tip my cap to Wade, man, and just a series of unfortunate events as far as having to rehab again. So hopefully he can collect his thoughts, and we'll see where it goes from there. But best of luck to you, Wade, and we're definitely cheering for you here on Chatterbox Reds. That's for sure.
Yeah, and then the Hulk tattoo, man, going all the way back to the no-hitter when he was here the first time and stuff like that. Like, it was just a cool story, and just kind of a not necessarily happy-go-lucky. Like, he's not a Brent Suter guy, but he was always a guy that, just seemed like the grizzly old veteran that he would be a pleasure to have in the clubhouse. So, on a day when things go down, the way that they do for him, it's just tough, because it does sound like it's the elbow in that flexor tendon or whatever it is. They talked about it. Like, it's not the repaired tendon, but it's the one that protects it. And so with it having a tear in it, it kind of means, it's not a good thing, kind of moving forward. So, but that does get us to our last topic of the night, and that is the moves, just in case you didn't tune into our guys before the game. By the way, folks, the Chatterbox Reds pregame, I'm not sure if you've tuned in.
Oh, it's amazing.
Mike Hart and Ricky Logan were on there today. And the way that they run down a series and things like that, like Mike and Ricky do a really good job together. Please tune into those. They start a half an hour before Reds Live. And so if you're excited for the Reds game, you want to just kind of flip something on, especially if it's one of those weekday games and you're stuck at your desk at work or whatever it might be, flip those guys on in the background, man, because they're going to get you ready and pumped up for a series and ready to go into first pitch in a way that, it is similar and unique, and you get the lineup and they get to talk about it. And it's kind of like watching Twitter come to life in terms of all the additives of, like, breaking down the lineup and where everybody's complaining and what would you rather see and all those things. So it's kind of it's the fans' perspective for sure, rather than getting into a Reds Live where it's a little more corporate. And I love those guys, Giesenslaw and all those guys on Reds Live, and Sam LeCure and all them. But what those guys do on Chatterbox Reds on the pregame side is incredible, and they're definitely worth a watch.
Oh, you're absolutely right. If you need any information or some insight on the lineup or the insight on what we're facing, check out the guys on the pregame show, man. All of those guys. I think there's a crew of I think there's 5 or 6 of the guys that do, and they're all fantastic, man. I've worked with them a couple different times and talked to them a couple of times, and those guys are absolutely insightful. And I kind of watch just to see what I'm getting myself into for the show afterwards.
Oh.
So those guys are very, very, very informative, man. But getting into a couple of the roster moves, Connor Phillips took Wade Miley's roster spot. With Wade Miley being put on the 15-day DL for now until they figure out what's going on with the left flexor strain. Chase Petty to the taxi squad. We originally had thought he was going to start for Miley tomorrow, but I guess we'll see where it goes. We'll see where that leads Chase Petty. And then Noelvi Marte started his rehab assignment with the ACL Reds. So hopefully that's a good sign of things to come. I'd love to see Noelvi's glove and bat back over in the hot corner. That would solidify this lineup a little bit more. But those are your roster moves that kind of come out right before, well, not necessarily right before the game, but it came out today. So what are your thoughts on the roster moves, Eric?
I think it's exciting to see Noelvi getting his start back up down in the ACL league. And hopefully things go well there. That oblique is something you're going to find out pretty quickly. That'll either be a a quick progression through the minor leagues. I know they said they're working back slowly, but I think you see that go from ACL to either AA or AAA within the next week. An oblique is something that it's either good or it's not. It's not one of those things until he takes a full hack at a ball that somebody's throwing at him and he doesn't feel it. That's he's not going to have his confidence back. So I think with Noelvi, it's going to be interesting. That's going to be a fun one to watch, and we could be looking at him. What is it? We've got the Yankees in Monday. We could be looking at him for that massive Padres series. Maybe by next weekend. Another thing that's right on the cusp here is we've got till Sunday to make a decision on Jeimer Candelario. His IL stint is up. I mean, the time's up, and you have to make a decision on whether or not to reinstate him or to send him back on the IL to kind of restart the clock. But Jeimer Candelario should be here within a couple of days as well. So I think after Sunday's game, there's going to be a flurry of moves before we get into that Yankees series, and we probably see a lot of left-handed pitching. And so is Austin Hayes truly that day-to-day that they speak of? If so, it's been day today since they first mentioned that. And so it's time to, make a decision on Austin Hayes as well. But if you flip Jeimer Candelario and Austin Hayes for Garrett Hampson and Connor Joe, the team gets better. Like they really do. And so I'm excited about that. The Wade Miley thing, it sucks. In the scheme of things, is a Chase Petty start that much different than a Wade Miley start? I don't know that it is. And I love the upside of maybe giving Chase a chance to kind of get things right up here. Is it an ideal situation to just let a kid, get fed to the wolves? No. But at the same time, how nice would it be if Chase can get on a run now and become a legitimate starter, be a fifth guy that's better than and has a higher ceiling than what Wade Miley had? You know what I mean? Like before the Wade Miley move, I thought Chase was going to be the move. To replace Hunter Green for a little bit, but with Hunter being gone for what seems to be a pretty probably till All-Star break at least, I would guess. I like the idea of giving these young guys a chance to show that they belong here. I like finding out whether you have it or whether you don't. Maybe the fear with Petty is you maybe try to make a move with him at the trade deadline, but I like the odds of rolling with a younger guy than giving it an old veteran like Wade Miley, who you just hope and pray makes it 5 innings, which he did. So like you said, kudos to him for the 2 starts that he made. He did what we asked him to do. When Mike Hart and I talked about Wade Miley starting, we said, get 5 innings and keep us in a ball game. That's all we need. And the way everybody else will take care of it. So with Wade Miley gone, Chase Petty, get 5 innings, man. Get 5 innings and don't have us on the wrong side of a scoreboard. Don't have us down more than 2 or 3 runs, and we'll figure it out. If we get beat 4-2 because you gave up 3 runs, so be it. But if you're going out there and getting shelled and we're down 9-0 and we're out of ball games by the time you leave, that's when you got to go back down, and that's what he's been in his first 2 starts.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's still an outside chance we don't see him, regardless with Suter taking the start. I mean, God only knows where it's going to lead. So, I wouldn't mind seeing Chase Burns Chase Burns, listen to me. I wouldn't mind seeing seeing Petty. Yeah, it's getting to me every time, man. I wouldn't mind seeing Chase Petty and having him get rolling, because obviously the last 2 tasty lefts in our mouth wasn't very great. But let's put the kid in the best situation possible and go from there.
And from an injury perspective, the one thing I started talking to myself today was, where's Rhett Lauder at in his progression, and where do we think that thing's going to go? I tried to look up some information on his injury update, and there's still no timetable for return. And it's seeming more and more likely that he's going to miss an entire season. But we're starting to get to the point where if it's a Tommy John, had they had this during spring training, he could almost be back by the middle of next season. But we're almost like, where are we at in the Rhett Lauder? Like, did he need surgery? Did he not? Did he get it? Did he not? Like, this is another one of those medical staff things that I hate to harp on those guys because I'm sure they're great. And I Sean Casey gave praise to Dr. Timothy Krimchek after he ripped his hamstring off the bone of the Bananas game. But it's one of those, like, how are we handling him, and why do we not have a timetable for return, or why did he not go for surgery back in April when we found out that he had the issue? Like, what is it that needs to happen here? Because the lack of Rhett Lauder news is rough. Like that's a guy that you needed to be there. When we talked about it at the beginning of the season, starting pitching, having depth, Rhett Lauder, Chase Petty, eventually Chase Burns was the 3 guys after the starting 5. You lose Hunter, Wade Miley goes down, Rhett Lauder's down, Chase Petty hasn't been what he needs to be, and they're afraid to bring up Chase Burns. Depth turns into a weakness very, very quickly, and we've seen it in the chat a lot tonight when everybody's talking about what is it that we need. It's pitching. It is 110% pitching. You're going to you're going to get about as good as you can get with Candelario and Hayes. I'm not sure that there's anybody out there on the trade deadline block that's going to be affordable to the Cincinnati Reds without sacrificing the future of this team that's going to get you better than what Austin Hayes and Jamer Candelario can do. If your bench isn't Garrett Hampson and Connor Joe, and it's those guys, and you still have Noel B. Marte to come back and make a tough roster decision with, that offensively, I think that's about as good as your lineup can be with what we can afford. So to me, it all goes to the pitching staff. It starts with a lefty in the bullpen, and from there, it's a serviceable, just Bronson Arroyo type arm that he's going to give up 4 runs, but he's going to throw 6 innings, and you're just going to have to live with it and mash that day.
Yeah, and I'm okay with it. I'm not selling the farm for Lucas Giolito. You know what I mean? That sort of.
Exactly.
That's my biggest worry is making the push and going to get somebody that's just not going to provide on the back end. So I want to be really cautious there, but we obviously are going to need somebody coming out of the bullpen. Whether or not you can go out and find a starter that's going to give you the innings that you need on a consistent basis is probably not there, but just to find at least a couple arms coming out of the bullpen to solidify it for when we need it, so we can have the bullpen games when we need to, or we can make the spot starts with Burns and Petty down the line when we need them, because obviously the depth's not there when you don't have the Rhett Louders and the Carson Spires and, you know what I mean, those sort of guys that you wanted. But you've got to be able to figure out a way to piece this together, keep your offense going together, and not like you say, not sell the farm to get there.
Yeah, and whatever they decide to do, we're all going to complain about it. We're going to be right back in here listening to Nick and Trace or us here on the weekends, which, by the way, we appreciate every single one of you, whether you're in the chat, listening on the podcast. If you are listening, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever that at, leave us a 5-star review. We really appreciate it. Leave some remarks. Call me ugly. Do whatever you got to do. Whatever you think you need to do to get your joke across. We're here for it. We're game. But if you're here on the stream, like the stream, share it out. Tell your friends. We'd love to reach more Reds fans, and it's a blast doing what we get a chance to do every Friday and Saturday here on Chatterbox Reds. To get into tomorrow, as we look ahead and we start to kind of paint a brighter picture on Saturday, the Reds are going to go up against the familiar foe in Sonny Gray. Right-handed pitcher Sonny Gray is 7-2 with a 3.84 ERA. He has a 9.6 K per 9 rate. He is only walking 1.7 per 9, and he's given up 1.1 home runs per 9. So hopefully we can land one of those. This team, I think the stats are astronomical. We have like a 600 winning percentage when we hit a home run in a game. And so, if we can smack a tater in the first inning, make me feel good about it, get Brent Suter out there and get things rolling. Gray is coming off of his worst start of the year. Against Milwaukee, he only went 4 1/3 innings, gave up 8 hits and 6 earned runs. He walked a guy and only struck out 4. He went 1-2 with a 5.87 ERA versus the Reds in 2024, and those are the only 3 times he's faced the Reds since 2016. So Gray's on a 3-year, $75 million deal with the Cardinals, and he signed that prior to last season. But excited to see Sonny. Was always a good dude. I mean, he's a 3-time All-Star. He was great to us here in Cincinnati. Would have loved to have held him together, but that move that we made to the Twins, I mean, that gets you Spencer Steer, and then Christian Encarnacion Strand, I believe, comes back in that deal as well. And so, if those guys can show up tomorrow and have a day and make that trade look really nice, there's not a better spot for it, because somebody's got to step up and be a hero tomorrow. Maybe it's Brent Suter, maybe it's TJ Friedel, maybe it's Ellie comes, off the O for the last couple of games, Schneid. Whoever it is, we need a leader of men tomorrow. We need somebody to step up and take this thing and understand that we're not going to go down to the division like this, and we're not going to continue to lose these series. What they say pregame? It's been since 2006 that we won a series in St. Louis or something along those lines.
That's what I was reading online too. But
oh my God,
yeah, it's definitely been a hot minute.
Oh God,
that's
awful.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to lean on your boy Ellie De La Cruz is going to be your hero tomorrow. Now that you've been talking crap about him, because he has had he's had the most recent success against Sonny Gray. Active Cincinnati Reds against Sonny Gray. De La Cruz is 4 for 8. He's got a home run, a triple, and a couple doubles. Gavin Lux is 4 for 9. Spencer Steer 3 for 7. Jake Fraley's 3 for 5 against him, and then we've got Friedel and Stevenson are 0 for 6, and Benson's 0 for 4. So we do got a little bit of positivity, man. I forget what I read his numbers were against us last year. He was 1-2 against us last year with a 5.87. So
yeah,
if that's any indication, man, tomorrow's going to be a good day, and Ellie's going to get us off the schneid, and we are going to be back to a positive weekend edition of the Chatterbox Reds and another winning edition of the Chatterbox Reds. And let's get past this and end the streak since 2006. We ended the streak against the Tigers with losing the first game of the series. So let's bring another one to an end now. Why not?
You got to get to St. Louis, man.
Yeah,
that's what we need to happen.
Right. We win tomorrow. I might just take off straight for St. Louis.
I bag on Elliott, from time to time, and it's always on a night when nothing good happens. I look to the top. I don't look for the guys that are hitting below 200 like Matt McClain, although he is gets us for first hit of the game in the third inning, and he kind of gets things going in that direction. And Matt's been decent as of late. But damn near made another error, though, on that ball in the second inning when he overruns it, but still was able to make the play at first base. But Ellie's was one of those guys that you expect it because you know what the potential is. The potential is game-changing. The potential is win you series, win you games by himself. And so when you have a night that you go very, very quiet and you ruin something that could have been in a Brady Singer start, I look to him and go, man, where were you tonight?
Yeah, no doubt.
But when he shows up all the other times and the numbers, shake out to what they are for Ellie, trust me, I was one of the people in line for his bobblehead the other night. I made it to all 3 games in that Twins series, and it was awesome. But yeah, being there for his bobblehead was sweet. But I'm still an Ellie fan, big number 44 guy. Just would love to see him win us a few ball games because I feel like that's the difference between being good and being great is a night like tonight when nothing else is going for you. Mash a couple of balls, pair it up with a Brady Singer start, and those 2 dudes are your heroes of the night. But looking for those guys look for somebody to step up and be that dude tomorrow because Sonny Gray is going to be a tough one to do it against. But you do have a 2:10 start tomorrow. Just a heads up, that's a 2:10 Eastern time start. So if you're looking for us tomorrow night, you might be a little bit too late. We should be on here sometime right around 4:30, 5 o'clock. But we're really looking forward to seeing the Redlegs get back in action. We did find out via breaking news from our great folks in the chat that Brent Suter is going to be your opener tomorrow. We will have Chase Petty, who is on the taxi squad, probably activated tomorrow. But there's probably going to be a flurry of roster moves sometime around between 10 a.m. and noon. That'll make things a little clearer as to what's actually available out there in the bullpen. But looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing these guys get back into it. With it being a right-handed pitcher, you get our best offensively. You're going to get Gavin Lux. You're going to get Will Benson. You're going to get Jake Fraley. You're going to get TJ Friedel. You're going to get left-handed Ellie. We've got some dudes that can make some things happen that have been on a run here over the last couple of weeks, and still even scoring 5 runs in a game that they lose to the Twins the other day. Tonight, small step back for a big step forward tomorrow, but really looking forward to it. Corey T, you got anything else?
As always, go Reds.